Hello everyone, I'm Brad Tompkins. Welcome to the show today. We are in Irving, Texas at the North American headquarters for Atos. And with me I have Chris and Sara. Chris, Sara, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So Chris, tell us a little bit about the relationship with Atos and Dell.
Sure, so my name's Chris Hawkins. I'm the Digital Workplace Pre-Sales Practice Lead for North America, and we are a Dell Titanium partner.
Fantastic. And Sara?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Sara Tegman. I'm with Dell Technologies, and I support Atos in North America for digital workplace.
So today we want to have a conversation about some of the workspace trends that are going on, and the benefit that Atos brings is the ability to see what many customers are doing and kind of what the world is doing to adjust to the new norm, this work from home. Obviously we're still in a pandemic, but I think even more importantly, as companies start to get back to work, it's how do you accommodate everybody's work preferences. Proximity bias is a real thing, and how do we make sure that person that's on the other end feels like they're part of the company and feels connected and able to contribute. And I remember Jeff Clark, CEO of Dell, talking at Dell Tech World last year saying the PC is the gateway to everything. And that's why, you know, Dell Client and these peripherals and even things down to the docks and the monitors you use, you need to think about this, because having the right technology can be a differentiator in getting the right person at your company and keeping employees. We all know there's a lot of employees looking at different jobs and those kind of things. Sure. So Chris, tell us, what are you seeing out there with your clients and how are they dealing with this?
There's a lot of challenges with the digital equity that we're seeing across our client base. There's a lot of open available real estate, which is a challenge, and we're seeing a shift to hotel-based seating to kind of optimize some of this real estate. And there's some equipment disparities as well, whereas a user at home has a fantastic machine and they might not have as good of a machine in the office, and that poses some challenges. There's also some inconsistencies in voice and video, where if you're working from home, you may have a fantastic internet connection, whereas in the office, it's a shared connection that might not be perform as well.
Yeah, and that's interesting because now with fiber to the home and everything, a lot of times that is the case where people might have a better internet connection at home, but it's less secure because it's whatever, you know, firewall or whatever the ISP is doing for them, that's all they're getting.
I'm one of the fortunate ones that actually has a fiber connection to my house, so I can speak to that personally. Security is a challenge, and it's paramount. One of the shifts in the digital trends we're seeing in that the way the security is being managed through the cloud versus on-prem hardware definitely changes a lot of that security dynamic.
So Sara, I know Dell puts a lot of research and looks at this and is like, how can we make sure that there is no digital disparity? What are some of the things Dell are doing on the client side to make sure everybody has the equal opportunity to participate?
So I think a couple things I wanted to share, definitely around surveying, right? I agree with everything Chris is saying, right? It is about the hardware, it's about that gateway, it is about productivity, it is about cost, right? We've seen a lot of companies double up on things, right? So what they had at their office, they're sending to the home now, right? A double monitor, you know, nice chairs, the perfect device, right? I think persona comes into a lot of this, what they're doing, when they're doing, how they're doing. I know Microsoft, I know Dell, everybody does these persona-based analysis, really, about how you do your job well, right? And the productivity level of your job. And they match them up with the perfect device, peripheral, monitor, you know, depending on if you're a health worker, are you on your feet all day? Do you need a cart? Do you need, you know, what do you need in order to do your job successfully and happily, right? I mean, that end user experience, you guys talk about connectivity, that is huge in all of our devices. We build in all of that. So I think the other thing I wanted to mention was that Dell does surveys of a lot of their leaders, business leaders globally. 74% of them have said that post-COVID, everyone, I mean, their employees are going to be home. There is going to be a at-home, you know, movement. We've already seen it, right? So
it's not going away anytime soon.
It's not going away. That's right.
And is this completely at home or a little bit of both? Sometimes in the office, sometimes at home?
I think it depends, right, on what your job is and what the company's missions are and, you know, how they can support and grow their business, right? It just depends.
One thing I like you said, it was about the personas. And I think for our members out there, It's no longer, hey, this is our standard setup. You get, this Dell Latitude 7000 and this monitor. You really need to think about what they're doing and have different personas for your employees and say, okay, what are you doing? That's an interesting point. I think that's a great tip for our members to think about when they're buying equipment and looking at what's best for their employees.
Right, I think it's, are you staring at spreadsheets all day? Or are you walking the halls and going to meetings? Or are you sitting at your desk now? You're not walking halls, you are sitting at your desk now. Maybe you don't need something that's a 43-inch monitor. Maybe you need, a 27-inch monitor, right?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely not going away, and we're seeing a social disparity out there in the employee experience. Some people are eager to get back into the office, while others are not.
And when that experience at home is different, I think that's going to sway people which one they want. I know, personally, I'm mostly back in the office now, and kind of when that trigger shifted is when I brought my nice, Dell 27-inch monitor back to the office. I'm like,
right?
Oh, that's where I'm going now because I need that.
It's fantastic though, because the device as a service solution that we're going to talk about today definitely helps fit that new work from home dynamic.
So talk about that device as a service. In the industry, everything is going to as a service and a subscription model, those kind of things. What's the adoption like, and what are people that have adopted, what are they seeing the benefits?
Briefly, device as a service is a shift in the model, in that no longer are companies buying computers from a fantastic vendor such as Dell, having them shipped to a depot, having them imaged, stickered, etc., and then shipped to the end user. The new dynamic, it comes directly from the hardware manufacturer straight to the user. And then someone like Atos applies security to that device, installs all the applications, one shot remotely while it's in the user's hand.
So from the manufacturer, it goes to the end user, and they turn this on out of the box straight from Dell, and then they get the experience of basically setting it up how they want to.
Absolutely, and not only that, it puts it in their hands faster, so it accelerates that time to productivity. And it also saves cost, because no longer are companies putting the money up front. So what they're doing now is it's basically leasing the device. Mm-hmm. So it takes that cost from a CapEx to an OpEx, and that also helps with their cash flow.
You no longer have help desk people showing up at your desk, right? Everything's done, right? They open it up, they sign in, everything's there.
Absolutely.
Secure, easy, exactly how they want to be productive, and it's go time.
Bigger, faster, stronger.
That's right.
All right, well, it's important for our members to think about, this new normal and how to deploy desktops. You mentioned desktop as a service, look at those kind of solutions, because the danger is if you get left behind, that's going to be a big thing for your company. And it starts with productivity, how to recruit people, but you always need to be thinking about what's next. So how would a company get started in just evaluating? You mentioned personas, and I love that. What else can they do to get started?
Some of the things we've learned through our travels is no big bangs. You start with a POC, you move up to a pilot. The difference between a POC and a POC is more of a technical solution where you're working out all the kinks, the settings, etc. Whereas a pilot is more user-facing, user acceptance testing, etc. So the tip here is start small and work your way up.
And it's in the environment, right? So the POC
production,
is, right, it's production day. So it's people bring it in, they unpackage it, they set it up. How easy is it? Is all of the specifications correct? I mean, do they have the touch screen? Do they have what they need? A backlit keyboard? What is important to them, right? Mm-hmm. And those checks and balances prior to setting an actual specification of a product is very, very important, right? We talk about personas, how they work, when they work, how are they most productive? Is it at night in their one part of their house that isn't necessarily at a desk, right? So all of those things are super important. You want to tweak them ahead of time, right? In a POC, unravel those. Is the image correct, right? Is the security correct? Is the screen big enough, right? Those types of things.
Gartner predicts in 2022 that 90% of all enterprises will use some form of device as a service.
Wow. That's a big upswing. But it does make sense. Again, we talked about the as a service movement, and that allows that IT department and help desk to focus on their core business, not focus on deploying laptops. And you mentioned the backlit keyboard, and it's so funny because, something that small makes a big difference. And there's been times that I have deployed laptops that didn't have the backlit keyboard, and let me tell you, I heard it quickly. And so I think one tip is
little things.
Yes.
It's so little and minute, but it's in the grand scheme of things. If you want people to be productive, one of those things, if they're in a dark room or they're watching TV and that, or
on a plane.
on a plane, right? It's very, very important to have all the right specifications to a product, and it makes the world of difference. End user productivity and end user experience.
Yeah, it's that employee satisfaction.
Right.
A backlit keyboard, if that's bumping it up a notch or two, that's important.
The old axiom used to be, your customers are number one, your customers are number one. That's not so true anymore. Now
That's
it's your
exactly
employees
right.
are number one.
And why is that? Because the employees is taking care of your customers.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And from an IT perspective, a lot of IT departments, this is changing as well, but they're not necessarily customer facing, but they're enabling their employees that
That's
are
right.
customer facing.
That's right. And make your employees happy, they make their customers happy, and it rolls back in, right?
That's right.
The growth, the productivity, I think one of the things that I researched was that 25% more productive does exponentially grow your business. And so it is a very, very important part.
There were also some studies on monitor size that increase productivity as well.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. I mean, we talked about personas, but if you're looking at a massive, amounts of data and you need the Excel spreadsheet to be, larger, bigger, faster, you need a large monitor to look at all of that data on one screen. You're not scrolling this way to 2 or 3 screens. You want it all in one because you don't want to be disrupted in your number. Like it could throw you off. Yeah, so monitor size is definitely big.
Yeah, I mean, 2 22-inch monitors is not the same as one 44-inch monitor.
That's right.
And, that's a big difference there.
My personal favorite is the U3422, 34-inch monitor. It's fantastic. 4K. Sarah and I were talking just the other day. Once you go 4K, you can't go back. Even on this 7560 here, it has a 4K screen on it, and I can't go back.
Yeah.
Even on a laptop now. Be careful.
And Dell is actually doing a lot of partnering with Jabra, with webcam companies. We have a new 32-inch Ultra Sharp coming out with a webcam built-in 4K. So it's going to be really neat. It's coming out next month.
And everybody's preferences are different. So, survey your employees. You mentioned start small. I love that tip. Start with a survey. What do you want to see? I've had interactions with some people that they're like, my 27 inch is perfect. And you put a 34 and they're like, that's too big. I don't like
too
that.
big.
And it's bigger is not always better.
Well, we
It's
were talking
personal
about the
preference.
curved, non-curved conversation,
Yes.
right? What did you say
It
about the
doesn't work
curved?
for me. The curved monitor it's not true 4K. It's noticeable for me, and it's disruptive. I just can't get used to it. Other people love it. I'm just not one of those people.
Yeah.
So we can optimize by asking questions, what our employees are looking for and get that figured out. What's Dell doing on the compute side and the AI ML side of things to optimize the devices?
So it used to just be precision, and now they've opened it up to Latitude and Precision, and it's not necessarily a subscription.
So that's great to know. So a lot of people don't get precisions, and they need to know, hey, you have this now. Because I'm assuming if they have a Latitude that they purchased before it was everything, they can go download Optimizer and start running it.
That's right.
That is a great tip that we need to emphasize.
And the latest version it's way more feature rich than the older ones. There's audio optimization, application optimization, network optimization.
Battery life.
Well, I was stuck on the audio optimization where it can
talk about
clear
that.
out some of these overhead noises, like if your office is next to an airport.
This Optimizer is allowing the compute to learn how you work.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And then assign resources where they're most needed, where they will have the most impact, and ultimately increasing your productivity.
You want to be able to experience everything about your job in the right way at the most optimized level, right? You talk about network, you talk about the speakerphone, you talk about dogs barking, you talk about all these things happening in your home, out of your home, close to your home, but it optimizes pretty much everything. Application, right? You don't want to be sitting there on a conference call and need an application to an answer to a question, and your application just sits there, right? You want it to come up very quickly, to touch, right? You want to be able to answer the question. It does all of those things, learns how you work better, faster.
And it does it automatically.
And it does it automatically. That's right.
So this used to be just for precisions, but Dell has recently made some changes around that.
Yes, so now they offer it on Latitudes and Precision. So you've got something that used to be more of a subscription-based, available to everybody on both
that's
of those
great.
platforms, yes.
So I personally use Dell Optimizer on my Precision workstation here, and it has made a difference in the way I work. I spend a lot of my time in video conferencing and Microsoft Teams, and it definitely makes a difference.
So if somebody had a Latitude that they've deployed before it was available for everybody, how do they go get that?
I think you could just download it right from our website.
Oh, simple as that.
Simple.
Just go to the website.
Go to the website.
Download Dell Optimizer.
That's right.
Get it running. How long does it take before it really learns how that user is using the device?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say probably within a week. It'd be
A couple days.
up and running, right.
And we can probably put a link right here where they can go get it, right?
Right, absolutely.
As an end user of Dell Optimizer, I use it every day. There's 4 things that Dell Optimizer does and helps me in my daily way of work. The first one is applications. It automatically learns which applications you use, and it tweaks your system resources to maximize and make those particular applications work better for you. The second thing it does is it takes a look at your networking, and it optimizes your networking based on throughput, bandwidth, etc., to make the best use of the resources you have available. The third thing is battery life. So for example, on this Precision right here, it has a discrete video card, and it also has onboard an Intel video card as well. And you don't always want to be using that NVIDIA card in here because it's going to squish your battery life. Whereas with the onboard video, you're going to get much more battery life, but it's not going to perform as well. Dell Optimizer can help with that as well.
So certain applications don't need that, right? So you can switch between them, yes.
Right.
Depending on the application, yeah.
And then the last thing is audio, as I alluded to earlier. It'll optimize the background noise and bring forward your voice. And again, my application is a lot of video conferencing.
And I mean, we're all doing video conferencing now. It seems like all day, every day kind of thing.
Back to back.
And the ability to really use your laptop as a high quality speakerphone that's also doing the video is great because you're not fiddling with headsets, you're not plugging in, you can talk, people can hear you. That's another benefit to just, having things work like they're supposed to.
So Chris, you brought a couple of the Dell
did.
peripherals, I think talking about the audio quality and the docking. I think you have some great things to show if we could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it all goes back to meeting equity, right? When you're talking to people, not everybody has the same high quality camera or the same high quality audio device. This particular one here, and I don't know the model number, but
yeah, it's awesome. I don't know the model number off the top of my head, but
it's a USB-C,
brand new. Yep.
USB-C speakerphone, and it has the buttons on top for volume, mute, etc., which is very important. That mute button is very important. but it also has an HDMI and a couple USB-C ports on there. So by using this, you're not losing any ports on your laptop, but you're actually gaining some.
Gotcha.
And the audio quality on this is fantastic.
It's great because you can hook up, like your cell phone's dying or something, you can hook it right into it. It's great. And it uses the battery right from the docking. So it's awesome.
That is nice. I love that.
Another thing I brought too, and just because we're on the topic of accessories.
The puck.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the puck.
Everybody loves the puck.
I can't keep those things
My
in
kids
stock at the
steal
office.
that from me,
It's just
They do.
fantastic. Well, here, give them another one.
right? Oh no,
Here's
you're
me
not going to
giving
give me
you-
this.
Here's me giving you something.
Wow,
I got a few extras.
I love it.
One other thing that I brought that I wanted to share was this Dell extended battery pack. The battery in this is bigger than the one in the laptop. So this will charge the laptop, Sarah's laptop here, 3 times on one charge, and we've done that. It also has a USB port here as well, where you can charge your cell phone. It's quite heavy, but it's absolutely worth its weight in gold.
That is a lifesaver. Everybody should have one of those extra in their bag at all times.
And I carry 2.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's nice. Very nice. You might not be getting this one back. And I love the way everything is moving toward USB-C.
Mm-hmm.
My phone is USB-C, so I can charge my laptop and my phone and everything all with the same thing. It just works a whole lot better.
It does.
I'm always constantly plugging USB upside down. 50% chance of getting it right, and I put it in upside down every single time.
Do you really?
I do, and I'm not afraid to say it.
The other thing that is nice is the docking station. Again, it's USB-C, plugs in, and it provides the power. So it's one plug that lights up my monitor,
Right.
my my Dell wireless keyboard, and all those things. It's super easy.
And you
Again,
talk-
that's at the office. That's why I'm always going back to the office because all the good toys are there.
Your footprint too, we talk about that a lot at Dell and with our corporations prior to COVID, but even now at home, not a lot of people have that space, right, available. They want it clean, they want it easy, they don't want a bunch of wires everywhere, and that what you were talking about, that super clean right? That's what people want.
I use the WD-210 docking station. It's a USB-C Thunderbolt.
Yep.
And it's a one wire, and it plugs into everything, keyboard, monitor, mouse. When I hit the road, it's just one plug, and leave that all behind without having to plug and unplug a bunch of wires. Too many wires in our lives.
Too many wires. I agree. So are your clients, from a Latitude perspective, I know that the 9000s have been out for a little bit now. What's the reaction to the 9000 Latitudes?
They're very well received. They're the most popular, I guess. You see the numbers.
Small, light, big traveler that needs a big screen, right? Yes, it's one of our top of the line.
I like the 9520 myself.
Yes.
It's the newer version of the 7400. Right. And it's very light. It's got an all-day battery life. It has a 5G cellular available to it as well if you're in an area that serves 5G. And it's one of my favorites.
Yes, definitely.
With 5G coming about and the ultra wideband and all that, and just the data capabilities, you're seeing commercials now where carriers are like, forget your home internet, just put in a 5G hub. It's interesting to see those chips starting to get back into laptops. Because I remember when the data came out, especially 3G and a while back, it's like, oh, you got to have a radio in for that. And then it kind of went away because Wi-Fi is everywhere. But now it's coming back because I do think a lot of people will just, forego, having to worry about getting hook up to a coffee shop Wi-Fi. You've got additional security there. You know what's going on, and the speeds are there.
Well, not only that, but that last mile, there's no longer a need to run wire into your house.
Right.
That the performance of that 5G right in your house, I mean, it saves cost to the providers, right? Because they don't have to run that last mile cable into the house, and the performance is even better than if it was.
Right. I agree with Chris.
And you've got that 5G now enabled in your laptop, so now it doesn't matter. I mean, think about it. Network doesn't matter anymore because it's just always there.
Always there, always on.
Yeah, and if we can have our employees not thinking about how do I get connected and, am I using a VPN? Is this network okay? Make sure my laptop can't be seen by other people that are in the coffee shop with me. That just
If you build it, they will come, and especially with the explosion in video conferencing, you need all the bandwidth you can get nowadays.
So think about how much more exponentially productive you are when you're not fiddling with the connection and the VPN and the security, right? It's always there, always on, always productive.
That modem connecting sound still gives me nightmares.
Tell me about it. I used to work for US Robotics. Tell me about it.
Oh, wow.
Right? Back in the day. I love that place.
The USR 14.
I know.
Awesome. So there's some parts of it that come from Dell and some comes from Atos. For the end user, they're getting the complete package.
They're getting the complete package, and very seamlessly.
So Sara, people can buy Dell equipment directly from Dell, or they can work with the many, many partners that Dell has, Atos being one of them. What do you need to evaluate if you're thinking about, should I buy direct from Dell, or is it better to get it from a partner? Like, what's the evaluation process there?
I think there's so much to that question because companies today are trying to reduce costs, deliver it seamlessly, make their end users happy, provide productivity and growth and security. And there's all these things that our global partners like Atos can bring to the table for these corporations. They're getting out of that business and they're turning it over to the professionals. And I think, Chris, you have a lot to say about that.
We provide a service, and it's soup to nuts. So there are some gaps and we work well together.
That's right.
So you're right, companies are looking to kind of get rid of the back office stuff. That's where they can partner with Dell, partners with Atos, and kind of bring that solution so they can focus on their core business. And that's one way companies are capitalizing on this. But what are some of the side benefits that you've seen as far as the ability to focus on core business, but also recruitment and retention?
So, I mean, we've talked this entire time about employee experience. That's got to be a priority, right? Right now, 82% of the people or employees interviewing are saying that their hardware matters, right? That's why they take the job.
Yeah,
wow.
And so some of the college tech trends we're seeing is these people coming out of college, they want to work at a progressive company that has the latest and greatest hardware.
Yeah.
My experience is it becomes less and less about salary. Salary is going to always be important, but it is these other things. It's that work-life balance. It's where you're going to let me work. Can I work where I want to? And then the equipment is usually the first or second question. Like,
right.
How am I going to work? Can I use what options do I have to use as far as the devices? So that's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
And now it feels like that employees are in the position to negotiate that more than employers.
That's right.
Because, with jobs out there now, people they have their pick.
That's right.
And it does get down to, we get past salary and benefits, and it's getting down to the level of what equipment and how are you going to enable me to do my job the way I want to.
Better, right, more productive, and from anywhere.
That's right, and we can hit that with hardware, and I think companies have to. You have to hit it with hardware, give them what they want, but also with the software. And we talked about Dell Optimizer and how in the background it's just making things work better, and employees don't even know it, which is beautiful. That's what we want. They should not even know what the IT department is doing to make their jobs easier. Their job just needs to be easier.
That's right.
If we're successful at our job, the end user doesn't even know we exist.
Right.
And that's the life of IT,
That's
right? Nobody's picking up the phone and saying, hey, my precision has been running great for the past 2 years. We're not going to get that call.
IT is that silent partner in every company that just doesn't come out too often.
That's right. That's right.
Fantastic.
Silent partner IT.
Well, I really appreciate y'all being here today and the perspective that a partner like Atos brings, and we can kind of learn from all different customers out there. And I know our viewers have found a lot of good tidbits. And Chris, thank you for being here. Sarah, thank you for being here as well.
Yes, thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We appreciate you spending time with us. And if you would like to learn more, you can visit us at dellclientcommunities.com.
Your tech.
Your voice.